Hey, Fred. Sorry, my phone's a little weird. Hey, it's Joe Plummer. Is this Fred?
How are you?
Good. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Sorry to bother you so much about this. I was just wondering if I'm working on this tour story podcast.
Yeah, you told me.
Pilot. Yeah. Do you think I could get a story from you, or do you have the time?
I don't know if I have the time, buddy.
Really?
You know?
I mean, it's
because
2 minutes, 5 minutes.
The problem is that it takes up so much time to tell a story,
Yeah.
you know, even if it's a short one, that if I do it, then that time is gone.
Yeah.
I'm sure you understand. So it's just hard for me to take that time, whatever it is. Say it's a minute, right?
Yeah.
Where we could be talking about something else, or you know, it's just the recollection of it, and then the retelling of it. The other thing is, if I save these stories, and I've got some pretty good ones.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I feel like it's better for a foreign journalist, like in another continent or something like that. If they do a biography on the history of tours, you know, or a biography of touring musicians, I guess it would be a multiple. What would you call that? That would be a multi-biography. So let's say someone in
you did say in different countries,
or Australia, or New Zealand. This way, then I could save it for them, where it could be translated, and it might be that much more entertaining. Brazil, and with you, and by the way, I think you're great. I'm just saying that if I'm relaying these stories to you, then it just takes up time, which I don't have and you don't have.
Well, I do. I'm home from tour, and my family's actually, I kind of planned my family to be out of the house, and just thought I'd give you a shot. I know you didn't say you could for sure, but
you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you a passive-aggressive, generic band story, just so that we're done, and you could just you get to fill in the blanks. All right, so you can fill in the blanks, buddy, and you can write in whatever you want. We loaded in,
buddy. Okay,
we
all
were.
right.
Blank happened at the sound check, and the sound guy was a blank type of character, and it was, you know, here's my impression of him, and he had this kind of accent, and then I don't know, and then we went on stage, and then I couldn't believe blank.
Oh.
All right, buddy?
Oh,
so you just fill in the blanks. So I'm good.
All right, I get the message. All right.
Thanks, Joe. It's good to hear from you.
Yeah.
You probably know Fred Armisen as a writer and comedian from Portlandia and SNL, but he's also a musician who's done his fair share of touring. In this episode, Fred and I share a few tour stories and our goofy insights of life on the road.
From Ruinous Media, this is Tour Stories.
What do you think about a little tour story for me?
Sure. So I purposefully, you know, tried not to think about it, and then when you texted this morning, I was like, okay, I should start thinking of something. So, yeah, I don't have you know, Transmouth toured a lot, and a lot of it, you know, we don't have any crazy party stories, or we were pretty conservative in our, like, we just didn't bring a crew with us. It was just the four of us, and our little cargo van, and, you know, we kept it pretty worky, you know, like where we were just going from city to city and trying to show up on time or stop at whatever, a record store, a coffee shop. And you know what it's like to be on tour. And, like, there's like a million things to say about the chaos of it and how hard it is to go get something to eat and, you know, with a group. And then if I start getting into the nostalgia of the way things used to be, you know, without cell phones, there's so much to say that I will for real start sounding like, someone from another time, which is fair. But, driving around that much was definitely scary at times, and because of the unknownness of it, because there's so little, what was ahead of you, just what you're met with at the other end can be pretty, I guess, funny,
Yeah.
So I'll try to think of, there's one concrete story that I have, but I know that's like totally like a real story, and that is that we played in Berlin, in what used to be East Berlin, in whatever.
And this is Trenchmouth.
Trenchmouth in like 1995. Yep. And we played at what I now, only now do I realize what was happening, but back then I just couldn't quite tell. But it was a squat, and in Europe, the way they do squats is like they just really do it. They really get into it. And so we showed up at this place, this building, and they're like, we took it over. And now I look back, I'm like, well, how did we get booked? Or why did we get booked? Why did they want a band to play? And there was no running electricity. Not I think. I know there was no running electricity.
Right. I've been to that, not that squat, but, well, maybe I have, but a squat with no electricity.
Maybe as I describe it, you'll say this might be the place. But
yeah,
we showed up, and I don't even know why people were at the show. I think maybe they all lived in the building or whatever. We load in, and it's kind of starting to get dark, and the hallways were lit with torches, kerosene. So everything smelled like kerosene. Really weird smell. Like it's just like everything was with kerosene. We loaded up, and then they fed us, right? And I should be thankful for this, but we walk into this room and there's this big table full of food. I'm like, oh, I love Europe. Look at all this bread and cheese, and it's just Europe. But then now I look back and I'm like, I think that was found food.
Oh, dumpster.
I think it was dumpster diving because of the size of it and the randomness of it. I'm just like, that pile was just too big pile of food. And then we played, and we're playing, I guess they had generators for the electricity, right? We're playing, and the crowd sort of, the middle of the crowd opened up so that there was one man there with two chains with metal balls at the end of the chains, and he started swinging them, and they were on fire. So he wasn't angry or anything. It was this mentality of like, we're all part of the show. We're all participants.
Right.
So he was swinging these chains with fireballs, and we could feel the flames, the heat from it, and it seemed very dangerous.
Yeah.
And then Damon, our singer, was like, he had to say to him, I think he called him the fire guy. Hey, fire guy, you mind not doing that while we're playing? I don't even know how he took it. The guy stopped, but it was the most I felt like a homeless person. Because that night we slept in whatever rooms I remember it was so dark. I was like, I think this is a room I'm sleeping in. So that's one tour story that I like, because it was just the insanity of it. So nowhere in the story is like, and then our fans showed up, and they were so happy to hear this one song. Must be hard to run a festival. I can't imagine.
I know.
I can't imagine making money from it compared to all the work you've got to put into it. I mean, the only reason they exist, I think, is because of passion and love, because someone really wants to do it. Otherwise, it must be a logistical, just a nightmare on top of a nightmare.
Yeah. Kind of a just get them on stage kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Just get them on stage and make sure there's not a fire.
Yeah. Can you imagine the responsibility?
Yeah.
For everyone's safety and cleanliness, and oh my God, I can't imagine. Every day, like, okay, well, now there's going to be 4 food trucks, but they need this, and they need this kind of plumbing for their water. I just can't imagine dealing with any of it. God bless people.
You could wallpaper the side of a building with the emails. The side of the biggest building in the world.
Can you imagine?
The emails.
Can you imagine
the short
the amount of emails, including? Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be there the day before. Got it. Henry will be there. Henry will meet you. He'll get you guys in. Got it.
PM or AM?
Yeah, PM or AM. Oh my God, I should have told you. No, AM.
And then like the insurance policy ones that they're just like with lawyers speak with $1 million and all.
They need it, and it's necessary. You know, safety, this, in case fire, and make sure the inspection for the fire and the grass and the trees exits, wristbands,
bathrooms.
The bathroom situation. I don't understand how it ever comes together.
I know. And when they're not disastrous and the backstage is actually like whatever, half of what you've asked is there and it's comfortable, it's amazing.
Agreed. It is really nice. And then sometimes you're just in some little outdoor area and you're seeing a friend you haven't seen in a long time. And then for the moment, it's like, well, this is kind of nice.
Yeah.
I got so-and-so. I haven't seen this person in a long time. People seem to be happy. I can hear music. Definitely not too loud.
Yeah.
There is something. It does when it's peaceful and when it works out. It can be it's always good memories. Like, oh, I remember that. We saw whoever backstage and it was great. And get to see some good bands and wander out and see whoever.
Look at your swag bags.
Little swag bag.
Sunglasses,
headphones, and then you go home and you had a nice day.
Yeah. And a tote bag.
Yeah, and a tote bag. I remember going through borders was always a hassle. My assumption is because we were like a sort of mixed race band. So every time we went to Canada, they really went through our stuff. And went to Italy, they really went through our stuff.
Was it the Vancouver border?
Every Canadian border.
Okay.
Going both ways. Vancouver, sure, Winnipeg. They really... I remember we brought... we were such a little band. We had nothing. We were just a little teeny band. And we had our T-shirts, we brought our T-shirts over. They really hassled us. Just, hey, this is commercial goods. Even though they're correct. I'm like, oh my God, we're just a little band. I don't know. What do we have? 100 T-shirts?
Right.
Trench mouth? You have to, write down how much were we planning on making? Technically they're correct. I just felt so like, why us? And coming back too, another mountain of, not as much, but another, they'd question us as to where we're going. Can you stop in here, pull over? I loved that we weren't into drugs. I loved when they couldn't find anything. I loved it.
Yeah.
Like, great. Knock yourselves out.
I know. And I was never in a band that was into drugs either. And that was always mostly, especially in Canada and the States, it did give at least me some confidence. Every once in a while I'd worry, like, did someone's weed or some other person's weed wind up in our band? I hope not.
Yeah, you never know.
And then my other paranoia was, even though we weren't carrying drugs across, like, the Swiss border and the Italian borders were always really hard. And my paranoia on those was like, they're going to plant something, you know. They used to trick us at the Italian borders all the time and tell us there were drugs, but they didn't know Paul from Black Robe Procession, or they didn't assume we could speak Italian, but Paul grew up in Sicily, so he could understand what was going on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that scarier?
He never spoke up, and I don't remember, I mean, maybe he did a couple times, but generally speaking, he wouldn't say anything. Because they were like 19-year-old guys with machine guns.
Right.
And in the end, and they look like models, you know, and we'd be up in I remember it was always in the Italian Alps going into, I think that goes into Switzerland, I think. Anyways, it was always like, these guys are so scary. And they would kind of fuck with us for sure.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear this.
But in the end, in the end, it would be like they'd just be laughing.
Yeah.
It was like really clear. And you wanted to be like, guys, can you just not do this right now? Can we just go? You wanted to say that, but you had to play their silly, like, it was like it was like theater for them, I'm assuming.
I guess. What a weird target.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember really having to go to the bathroom. Same experience. And they were young. I do remember that. They were young. I wasn't like, look at these dumb old guys. They were so, like, chiseled that I was like, wow. They're, Damon, we came away from one airport in Italy, and Damon had, like, these creeper shoes, you know, like sort of thick-soled shoes.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what? They cut into my shoe. There was like, you know, they put a knife to it. He didn't see them do it. He just noticed it. He's like, look at this.
Yeah.
They cut into my shoe.
The
Canadians X-rayed all of our X-rayed drum hardware. I mean,
yeah. I used to be a little bit snotty about. I think it was the Vancouver border, which still to me has always been the most difficult border, and I think it was partly because I was from the Northwest and I felt close to home and
right.
or something. But I was always really, I mean, not to don't let us in the country, but I was always questioning them as politely as I could at the Vancouver border.
Yeah.
Like, okay, do you want me to unpack my drums for you because you're taking all afternoon and we're going to miss our show? Or, you know, can we talk about this? What, can I help you look for stuff? And one time our merchandise was, we left our merch in Bellingham and brought a box over, and we're going to drive back and get it, which bands did. And we had one box of probably, CDs, and they wouldn't let us in without us paying almost more than they were worth. So I asked,
is this going to Vancouver or away from Vancouver?
Into Vancouver.
Yeah, we had exactly the same problem.
And I asked I said, all right, we're going to come back tonight after our show. Can I leave these CDs here? And the first answer was, sure, but someone might steal them. And I said, I'm willing to take that chance. And that's, of course, being a little bit of a smart ass, but I was trying to be practical as well.
Yeah.
And then I called their bluff, and the guy goes, no, you can't leave them here. And I was like, why? And then I said, I'm going to throw them away. And in the end, the guy goes, you can just take them. 30 minutes later.
Another game. I had a lot of snobbishness, too. I think I was very resentful. Only because, and this just comes from being a musician, where I'm like, I'm a musician. I'm not the enemy.
Right.
You know. I mean, that's just snobbishness. I'm just being snobby. And in coming back into the States, I was even more resentful because I was like, I'm from here. I don't want to be stopped for 1 second. I'm from here.
Right.
I'm an American. What? You're hassling me?
Right. And we're talking about it now like we were snobby or cocky or something, but I think it's just because we are just working. We don't have drugs. And, like, fuck you. Let us
Yeah.
do our job.
Yeah.
Thank you for making our borders safe. Let us
Right.
let us spread the word of rock and roll around.
Yeah. And it also, because it also makes them seem so uncool. I'm like,
Yeah.
aren't you into bands? What?
I know. I know.
Weird job. We were coming over from on the eastern side of Canada for, I don't remember where, but from eastern Canada and back into New York. And this guy poked his head out and pointed at each of us in the van and asked where we were born, right?
Mm-hmm.
One by one.
Yeah.
And he seemed kind of angry. And something about it really made us laugh in the moment. It just seemed so weird. We were a little stumped, Where are you born?
Right.
Where are you born? Where are you born? And we just felt like grown-ups. We're like, we're grown-ups. What are you asking us where we're born? And we started laughing, which we don't usually do like that. And they pulled us over. They said, pull your van over. I think it's because we were laughing. We couldn't.
Oh, that's really rich. That's like saying, can you spell your name or something?
Right. It just took us off. Yeah, it put us off guard. Also, someone pointing at each of us is weird. It's just a weird,
right.
Yeah.
It's very much like first grade or kindergarten or something. It's like, okay, Fred, can you spell Fred?
Yeah. He even had a little hat, a little whatever, border crossing hat guy. It just seemed like a sketch. I always wanted to make a book about band arguments, right?
Yeah.
Because there's books about fights and legal battles and stuff, but I feel like I don't hear enough about the stupid little arguments that blow up for nothing.
Right.
And I'll just give you an example of mine, okay? This
is great.
Because I wish I could hear this about bigger bands, like, I don't know, Genesis or the Police or whoever went through this. But, like, we were in Michigan, and there's the four of us. We had to sleep at someone's house. I tried to take care of the van as much as I could. Oil changes, getting it washed, getting tune-ups. I liked doing it, right? So when it looked like we needed an oil change or a tune-up, the band would be staying somewhere. I would take the day, whatever, hey, I'm going to go get this done. The only way into town was with the van. So Wayne wanted to go have breakfast, but I left early to go get the van worked on.
Right.
So he really got mad at me. So, like, it's one of the bigger arguments I think it's one of the most shouty arguments we had, confrontational, where when he finally saw me, he's like, I wanted to go into town and have breakfast. You can't go doing these errands. And he might be right. But I was like,
a lot of times food has a lot to do with, now that I'm remembering, food has a lot to do with those arguments. Hangriness.
Absolutely. I understand.
Yeah.
My argument was like, hey, this is the only time I had. You should be thanking me that I'm the guy who goes out, which is me being like a martyr, But I was like, I'm going to go do this. So if he wasn't wrong, and I should have just said, hey, I should have announced it more and made a big, or I could have given him a ride. But anyway, that was our big argument. It was like, I look what I do, and that's the crux, I think, of a lot of arguments is
right.
This is what I do. Yeah, but I need this. So it's not the most exciting story, but I feel like that is really being in a band, is that.
Yes, that's small.
That's most of being in a band is, why didn't you tell me?
Yes. That reminds me of a mad at my guitarist and he being mad at me for probably 2 days, where we actually, the reveal of our anger was that we had to apologize to each other. But get this, we had a day off, we had fan who ended up being a friend of the band invite us over. It was the once in every 10 houses nice house, and we went to the supermarket on the day off to make a feast. And Mark, the guitarist, was kind of the cook of the band, and he really wanted oh man, he really wanted yellow bell peppers.
Oh boy.
This pasta primavera thing he was making, and I had already purchased 2 green bell peppers.
Oh my God.
And when I found out, I was like, Mark, I got green. I was actually back in the store with my bag, and I was like, don't get yellows, get green. He goes, we're not using green bell peppers. And I believe with the bell pepper stand between us, he threw a yellow one at me and went and checked out.
Now, when I say wow or oh my God, I really mean oh my God. Like, that is absolutely the classic, on so many levels, that is the classic band argument. Because it's also him being like, this is my specialty.
Yeah, and he was right. And he was my roommate. I should have known that.
No one was right or wrong, because he also, it was his role to be like, you know what, buddy? It's going to be green pepper, so what? We're good. It's going to be yummy. Like, that's the whole, you're supposed to compromise and say, oh, it's not perfect. But that is absolutely, like, I'm doing you a favor. I'm doing you a favor. And then everyone's mad.
I can remember everything, and I can remember the vibe of the apology before the show, so we didn't have a bad show. You know, but I wish I could remember the specific words, because it was probably like, sorry about the pepper thing.
Can you imagine?
I know.
All over making a meal. Oh my God. Have you ever flaked on a show because the show was flaking on you? So it looks like this. We showed up to New Orleans, right? It was hot and pretty muggy. We showed up to this club, and there was no promotion for the show, really. It was just sort of like we showed up, and there was kind of a bartender there. You know, we started loading in. I'm like, oh, there's no flyers or anything. And the bartender goes, if you want a sound man, here's a card. There's your phone number of someone who can come in. You know what I mean? Like, clearly, they weren't psyched to have a show. They were like, you find a sound man. And we're like, let's just go. It just doesn't seem like they're anticipating us. There's no one around. Let's just go get a hotel, and we're or whatever, motel, and I think this is not a show.
Right.
And that was it. We just sort of left. I never heard anything. That's the last I ever heard of it. No one ever said, hey, what happened? There was nothing.
Yeah. No, yeah. You know, I know, and I just can't remember it. It's just very deep in my memory of actually just packing up and going, all right, well, let's use our personal savings and get a hotel and watch some TV. You know,
seriously,
and take showers.
You've experienced this.
Yeah, I just can't remember specifically, but one time we did show up, we unpacked, we realized there's so many crazy details in between. We packed back up, we hung out for a while, some things happened, and we unpacked again. We moved the show, which was a partial pack up, and ended up playing an amazing show. But we left twice because it wasn't happening.
Yeah, that's nice.
And by some miracle, it happened, and it was this crazy show. But
that's organic, and that's really nice. That's like you're supposed to be playing.
Yeah, but like when you were telling me that story of showing up at the bar, how many times you show up at the bar and you're there and it's 5? You've either shown up to the town 4 hours earlier and you've exhausted all resources. So, hey, let's check out the venue. Maybe I can except my snares.
Right.
And then, but no one's there.
Yeah.
That great smell of bleach and,
Oh my God.
you know
Yeah,
that smell?
bleach or sort of chemically Lysol, fruity smell.
Yes.
But bleach, really bleach, but then, yeah, whatever, Windex or, oh, and the stickers. My memory of the 90s is stickers.
Stickers.
Every band, the stickers, backstage stickers. How many stickers did the 90s make? Jesus Christ. Everywhere. The back of the door. Sticker.
The front of the door. The back of
Front
the door.
of the door. Why?
The
whatever band.
Guitar cases. I remember at some point getting sick. It's like, no, I don't want a million stickers on my, but I do want some specific stickers to maybe make my drum cases look cool. And maybe I am in on that band called Fiddlehead from Austin that no one's heard of yet, or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, trying to curate my drum case.
Oh my Lord. All the designs. God.
Oh, I know. Just the graphic design of the 90s. They used it all. Didn't they use all the graphic design in the 90s?
Yeah, they just finished it out.
Yeah.
Fuel. Whatever the band.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, Fuel is got to be number one, right? Fuel.
Yeah.
The Fuel Cafe, which got co-opted, it seems, just to a sticker that says Fuel in the same font.
Yeah.
And then there's the band Fuel. And then the ones with the 90s, just 90.
Oh,
Do you remember those? They were common.
Yeah. Oh, it's a lot of typeface, like typewriter face. Oh, God,
Yeah.
A million.
Fuel is
That's another whole, like, there's the building wall of email exchanges for a festival. And then there should be another building wall of band stickers.
Yes. Oh, you could build a building out of those stickers.
You could be thick. It could be thick with stickers with the strength of steel.
You know what it is, though? You build that building, and it's not big. It's house size. And, of course, it's not going to withstand maybe, well, let's say it's super strong, but it's not going to be tested. But it is the silent disco at the festival.
Oh. We've got a whole thing, a complete picture going.
Hey, Fred, what time should we meet at the 90s silent disco? Well, I'll be there at 4:30. Okay, well, I'll see you there then. We'll look at the stickers. Should we look at the stickers first, or? Oh, the inside is stickers, too, though. Oh yeah. Boy.
There's layers and layers of stickers. It's almost like the Vietnam War Memorial, where some people will go to try to find their sticker, like, oh, there it is!
Oh.
Amphetamine reptile.
I can't believe that. Wait, do you think that's actually from our van? I think it is.
I think it's from our van. Look at that.
Okay, well, I'll let you go.
All right. I hope you've got something there.
Oh, yeah, we've got a lot of stuff. It's going to be great. I really appreciate it. It's going to be fun. It's been fun talking about this stuff. I'll do this anytime you're free.
Yeah, thanks for including me. And I'm glad you found the time to do it.
Thanks to Fred for the stories and the hilarious observations. To hear more stories, check out ruinousmedia.com. And don't forget about our companion episode, The Check-In. All at ruinousmedia.com/tour stores.